by Riverside.
That's hands.
Hello and welcome into the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad. And today we have the sad siblings after the weekend in the same household. Wes there was doing his best impression of Chris Collinsworth sliding into the frame.
Myself right here.
I don't know why he decided to go with Chris Collinsworth, Mike Tirico theme. I think there were better options to go with there. But let's start with why we're working with the sad siblings. We had a huge college football game, what was probably the best matchup in college football, and we got some Bo Nixing. We saw what it was like to see a quarterback that throws the ball down the field and a quarterback that plays in the system. However, that system was pretty awesome. The system did great. The system almost won the game.
Phoenix.
If
Knicks versus Knicks.
if Bo Nix, if Dan Lanning hadn't been so aggressive, but some Oregon fans feel divided. Some Oregon fans loved that he was aggressive, and some Oregon fans thought that lost them the game. So I've got two of you here with two, maybe different opinions. So Wes's jaw is already hanging open, so he can't wait to talk. So Wes, what's your opinion? How did you feel about that game and Dan Lanning's aggressive play calling?
Well, the second time after we went for it on fourth down, when we were in the red zone, I basically screamed. I sat up in the stands and I screamed.
What did it look like? Show me.
I was mad. Okay. Chelsea and Rochelle were like.
Chelsea, was there expletives?
When he there were a lot of expletives.
But so I definitely do not agree with those. Every time I was like, take the points before he went for it. But
you're conservative, though. I know that about you.
The fourth down call at the end of the game, I 100% think he should have went for it. Okay. Because UW was gashing us. And if we get 2 yards there, we get the first down, it's game over.
Yeah, and you'd already lost your starting cornerback, correct?
Cornerback?
Yeah, your starting corner. Both your cornerbacks went down back-to-back plays. Yeah. And I think the cornerback that was on, what's the wide receiver from Washington's name that had the huge game? One of them was on Penix's main target. And the backup got targeted time after time. So I can see where you're coming from, where it's keep the ball. Chelsea, how did you feel about it?
Well, so in the first half, I love, as long as we're pretty much keeping pace, I love an aggressive first half. I think you have to kind of reel it back in the second half of the game, especially when it continues to be close and you haven't run away with the game. So it really sucks that there were blown opportunities for field goals where we would have obviously won the game. I am with my brother, though. There was a lot of screaming of what are we doing? Even Washington fans were like, what is going on down there? They were mad at but everyone was just distracted by what their own teams were doing. Mm-hmm. It was such a close game. It was so heated. I only just now have my voice back, and even then it's still kind of in and out.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a lot of just screaming and expletives. We'll just put it that way. But we are pretty disappointed, obviously, that Oregon won. I'm just interested to see the bounce back, because in years past, when we have done these, extended runs with being undefeated, and then we kind of get smacked down to reality a little bit, Oregon just has this really curious way of just falling apart at the seams completely. He's making some faces. No. I'm talking over the span of a long
time. Dunes was the wide receiver I was thinking of. But Oregon does have that history, Wes, and you know it. Remember, years ago, I used to tell you Oregon can't make it through California undefeated. Oregon will always lose to a California team at some point in time. Now, that mystique has long passed. They've been able to make it through California, but then all of a sudden, Arizona teams became their kryptonite for a little while. And they couldn't make it out of Arizona.
The specific example I'm thinking of is when we lost to Arizona in the middle of the season, and we came back and we whooped the crap out of them in the conference championship game and made our way into the college football playoff.
Man, I really wish you had said Stanford to give me such an easy transition, a seamless transition into a different game. But instead, you were like, let me talk about my real feelings. No, it's okay. Therapy. Let's see here, Wes. Did you want to get some things off your chest after that game? Was this your team now that Mario's out? Was this the team that was going to finally take the Pac-12 to the playoffs?
Well, we're still ranked number 9, and I have a good feeling that we can make it through the rest of the schedule undefeated, in which case we'll end up right back in the conference championship against UW. And
Wesley doing his best impression of Lloyd Christmas. So you're telling me there's a chance? Just please talk dirty to me, college polls. Tell me my team can still make it. I just want to hear it. You know who else can still make it, Wes? Iowa. Chelsea.
No.
At the end of the day, are you still confident that Oregon can make it to the playoff?
No. And
that's how you answer the question. You don't answer it with hope. Give me a take, Wes.
No.
You're a hard yes or you're a hard no.
We still control our destiny. That's all I'm saying.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Oh my, no.
We run the table.
Washington controls your destiny.
No. We run the table, and then we wind up against UW in the Pac-12 championship game. And if we beat them in the Pac-12 championship game, we're back in the playoffs.
No,
yes, we are. If we avenge our only loss,
I think
if we beat them on a neutral field, which it will be.
And she talk, Wes.
No, because I'm right and she's wrong. That's all there is to it.
Okay, well, first of all, this is TheSadFan, and I happen to be the saddest, doomerest of them all. Trust me, I am a big-time Oregon fan. Like, my nails are green and yellow. Like, I was head to toe green and yellow this weekend. I go hard for this team, but it is a much, much, much more difficult way to get into the CFP with there only being 4 teams with a loss. And like, whether we like it or not, the fact of the matter is that the Pac-12 does have a harder road to get there than, say, an Iowa with their cake schedule. And I know, roll your eyes all you want, but I think that it really comes down to however the CFP poll shakes out, like once those start hitting, which is next week, right?
Yeah, and they're going to be in love with the SEC regardless of how bad the SEC is this year. Every year they love the Big Ten and the SEC. They love them.
Yeah, and USC always for some reason. Like
USC's out.
I know. I'm just saying historically though, the poll will give USC like the benefit of the doubt, but now there's no doubt that they're garbage. Just that, you know, they were always somehow given a little, probably because of the Notre Dame in their schedule, because Notre Dame is always like a quality loss or quality win for them. So
Utah's still sneaky too. Cam Rising hasn't played a game yet this season because of injury.
It's not,
and they're still 5-1.
I thought he played like the first game.
No, he was out. They split the quarterback duties between the 2 backups. But Cam Rising is still out, and Utah has a defense right up there with Iowa. Utah's defense is gross. Like they're making games terrible to watch because they're so good. Okay, and that is the opposite of what Colorado's defense is doing, as they couldn't hold on to a 29-0 lead at half. In fact, they gave up almost 300 yards, and I was reading about it. Most of his yards came after the half to a wide receiver that I just found out existed because he plays on Stanford, and his name is Iamaner. Or that's your name until I learn how to pronounce it. Iamaner. 294 yards and 3 touchdowns to come back to beat Colorado. And it was ridiculous. It was funny because the joke was, do you think Deion Sanders fell asleep like the rest of the nation at halftime?
Well, that's almost exactly what happened, because we turned it on like late second quarter, I think. And I was like, oh man, this is a blowout. And like, I think near the end of halftime, I was about ready to go to bed because we were going to wake up early for game day in the morning, which is like 6 a.m. our time. And so I was like, okay, I'll just watch like one drive of the second half. You know, I'll watch Stanford's first drive. They go down and score a touchdown. I'm like, okay, well, you know, let's see what happens their next drive. And they kept scoring, and they kept stopping Colorado. I was like, I'm going to have to stay up and watch this whole freaking game, and I'm going to have like 4 hours of sleep. Thanks a lot, Colorado.
Worth it. Like that was a I love like those comebacks, but I mean, let's be real, it was 2 garbage teams, and like, you know, you keep telling me like, oh no, Colorado is better than we expect, but like this is exactly what I have expected of Colorado the whole season, where they just kind of just fall off of a cliff. So, and this one was a real Colorado game, since it had Travis Hunter in there playing every snap on both sides of the ball. So for those of you who are saying, well, Oregon only beat them because they didn't have Travis Hunter, well, that
was Josina Anderson, and I was so disappointed in her, because I respect Josina Anderson, and her posting that up, like, you're kind of race baiting at that point. You're trying to make it a racial thing, and I know the tweet is simply what would have happened if they had Travis Hunter, but read the context clues leading up to that tweet is, y'all couldn't wait for Deion Sanders' downfall. Like, okay,
no,
stop.
I want him.
And I'm talking about her. I'm talking about her. And I'm like, just like, stop for a second and stop trying to do this to boost your own clout.
Like, I want Deion Sanders and Colorado to do well. The thing is like, when you come out with like that much national attention and you've proven nothing, and then you're kind of like, your first couple games go pretty well, but like there's still not a lot of substance, not a whole lot of quality, definitely a lot of holes. And you're playing one guy on both sides of the ball, and that is your team. And then you got the coach's son, you know, like,
2 of them.
Well, but at what point is this like, how is this sustainable? Is what I've been asking like from the beginning. And I'm happy for them. I'm happy for all their NIL money. Like, good on them. But and obviously the program's going to continue to grow. There's a lot of interest in it. You know, just tone down the expectations.
I do too want to see Ralphie running through a playoff. I do. I want to see that someday. But the one thing, I got to be honest with both of you, I wasn't. The rewatch was great. The game was on way too late in England to watch, but the replay was great. It was fun, especially when you found out what the comeback was. It was worth watching, or at least tuning in at halftime and seeing how it went. But all that kept running through my head was, we were talking about the worst teams in the pack. And I said, yeah, it's got to be Cal. And you know what Chelsea said in the mic? Stanford. And I was like, Chelsea called this the worst team in the Pac-12. And look what they're about to do.
Arizona State's the worst team.
No, Arizona
State is... No, by
Arizona
statistics, he's right.
Okay.
But that was what went through my head. I was like, this is so funny, because Chelsea has to deal with the team she just said was the worst team, coming back from 29-0 and winning the game.
They had a legitimate case, and maybe they still do. But they just happen to hold Colorado off.
What would that case sound like, Chelsea? If you're making a case not to be the best, but what does the case sound like? You're like, no, I'm the worst. What does that case sound like?
Well, it's going to be censored, but they played crap. They ain't beat anybody.
I mean...
What was their other win?
None. That's their first win of the season.
No, it's not.
Hawaii, I think.
Oh, they did beat Hawaii.
Hawaii, who is ranked 128 out of like all 133 teams. Yeah. Like, are you serious?
Hawaii hasn't been good since Colt Brennan and June Jones.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Those poor long-suffering fans, but that's who they beat, and that's it. So, I mean, like, you want to make the case for
So I've got to transition into the NFL here in a moment, but Wes, you had a game that you were intrigued by that you wanted to get to. I'm going to give you a solid 2 minutes to tell us what happened.
So when we're on the topic of massive comebacks, let's not ignore Colorado State versus Boise State. Colorado State down 20 points, 5.5 minutes to go. They get down the field, score a touchdown, get the onside kick, score another touchdown. They get the second onside kick, but it's called back because of illegal block before the ball traveled 10 yards, which was like kind of iffy. They stuff Boise State to a 3-and-out. They get the ball back with 30 seconds, and they get a Hail Mary to win the game. The Boise State quarterback swatted the ball down, and the Colorado State guy caught it inches from the ground.
Okay. All right. I like that story, because how often do we see a successful onside kick or a successful Hail Mary?
2 in a row. Even though one of them was called back. It was just watch the clip, watch the highlights. It was incredible.
I love that you have the whole like play-by-play memorized.
I watched the video. I watched like a 60
did the
and
research.
60. I watched a 60 and 60 in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm in the film room every day before the show watching the film.
No, he's not.
I watched the film from 5 angles.
So USC, like we already said, got absolutely crushed by Notre Dame. Notre Dame's defense was phenomenal. Oh yeah, the voters also love Notre Dame. So let's not count them out even with 2 losses just yet. They should be out, but voters love Notre Dame.
They got their asses kicked by Louisville. That's all there is to it. And
Louisville is undefeated, so
they just lost to Pitt.
Well, they aren't now, but
yes,
yeah,
okay.
they deflated after the Notre Dame win.
Pittsburgh.
Trap game. Trap game for Cowboys fans. Trap game. So Caleb Williams, probably the consensus best quarterback to go into the NFL this year.
He played like Zach Wilson last game.
You know what his team is asking for, and his father's already come out and said, if Caleb Williams doesn't like the team, if we don't like the team Caleb's going to, we're not going to go into the NFL draft. Well, guess what, dude? There's only 32. There's only 32 teams. And if your kid sucks, he's going to suck on any team. Like, he looks good at USC. He looks good at Oklahoma. But you know who played in that same offense? Baker Mayfield. And I know did no shade or disrespect to Baker Mayfield, but he's not, like, the most amazing quarterback ever. In that offense that also went number 1, Kyler Murray. How's he doing? I hear he's really good at Call of Duty.
Wasn't it like Sam Darnold who like said the same thing? I feel like it's always the USC quarterbacks that are freaking divas about where they go, especially when they're like the number 1 pick.
No. You're thinking of Eli Manning. Eli Manning was the one that refused to go to San Diego, and then his father.
No, there's been other like quarterbacks recently that were like, he doesn't, like if he doesn't like the team he goes to.
Maybe he definitely worked out for the Jets. But
he wants partial ownership of the NFL team he goes to.
Well, there goes my transition. So, yeah. What do we think about Caleb Williams wanting partial ownership of Wes? What do you think about that? Is that normal? Is that a normal thing?
Stupid. It's stupid. Who was it that just asked for it? Was it Aaron Rodgers? Yeah.
And the
NFL was like, that's not happening. Yeah. You can't do that. And they're going to do the same thing. And he's just like, I'm sorry, between the way he played last game in Notre Dame and this stupid request, if I'm an NFL team, like I'm saying, I don't want you.
Well, I mean, he's going to take great in the USFL. They'll give him some equity.
Yeah, exactly.
As an Oregon fan, I'd rather have Penix over that guy.
Penix, the ARP Bowl did not disappoint. It was a lot of fun to watch. I will say that. Bo Nix. He turns 24 before the NFL draft, I want to say. It's 24 before the actual draft. And I think Penix spent, he got his master's degree from Indiana before he transferred over to UW. So it's both quarterbacks are definitely up there in age. He didn't actually, before anyone is like, no, he didn't. I know. I'm being facetious because he's 80 years old. That was a fun game to watch. But there's another fun team to watch. I think we all agree. Kate, did you have anything you wanted to include on that, him wanting equity, Chelsea?
I mean, kind of.
Okay.
Just that, I don't think that on its face, asking for equity in your team is a bad thing. In fact, it could be part of the variable compensation that players could, at some point be owed, and that would be a totally okay, totally normal thing. But the thing is that to ask for it as one person when you're in a league with 32 other teams and 53 men on each of those teams, and none of them have that opportunity, none of them have that leverage, that's why you are in a union, and you need to go to your union about that, because everyone should have the same opportunity for the same other fringe benefits, and it shouldn't just be a one-off thing. Is it creative? Yes, absolutely. But I think it's a jerk move to just put your foot down well before the draft, well before your season's over, to say like this is what we're gonna do because you think you have that much leverage. You're not there yet.
He's out of pocket.
Yeah, that's the PG version of what I was stumbling over.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly, but I also follow a rule: closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't ask, you never know if you're going to get it or not.
No,
he's going to be a bust.
And I think that's what Chelsea was saying. Is that
absolutely
you like that he asked? What
yes,
I think is though, it's the worst thing that could have happened to him is it coming out, because you know what NFL players love to eat? Rookie sandwiches. And he now has announced that he's better than all the people that are already in the NFL.
Exactly, but I mean, like, it's not bad that it came out, but it should have just been a very different conversation about, hey, like, as we're looking at, NFL player compensation, like, what does that actually look like and what does it entail and what could it look like in the future as we start to approach, like, ever increasing, salary caps, and how do we, like, not get around that, but how do we also, do some things that are a little bit more flexible than straight cash?
Yep, and we have had the payment conversation on this show. That is not where I want to take it, because it is not going to be as fun a conversation as I can't wait till Jadeveon Clowney or Myles Garrett get their hands on him after hearing that he thinks he's so much better than them as rookies. They're going to get what J.J. Watt did years ago. Do you guys remember the quarterback Zach Mettenberger? Do you remember that guy?
I do remember that name.
Selfie quarterback. Remember that selfie quarterback?
Yeah.
And then J.J. Watt sacked him and did the selfie in the backfield.
Yeah, never heard from him again.
Like, nope, I'm sorry.
I don't think we did.
I'm telling you, if you're a rookie, it's going to be a bust.
You better come out and you better prove it before some of this stuff starts coming out. Because, oh my gosh, Aaron Donald. Could you imagine if he ends up in Arizona? Aaron Donald coming through the center of his line. Oh, you get equity, but I don't. Do you know who the F I am? I'm one of the only defensive players to be up for MVP the last 5 years. He's gonna take him, and it's gonna be like a scene from Frankenstein, because he's gonna rip Caleb Williams in half. Okay, like it was. I'm with you that it's closed mouths don't get fed, but the fact that somehow this leaked, that this is what he wants, I think is awful for him. Aaron Rodgers has earned it, whether we want to accept it or not, whether he's crazy or not. He has put up the numbers. He has put up the games. He has put up the wins. He has gotten the MVP trophies to say, hey, I should get some ownership in this. You know what I'm saying? That there's an earning thing here.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams has earned precisely Lincoln Riley's knee. That's what he's earned. Because that's who he's followed around. That's why he's good. The best quarterback to come out of a Lincoln Riley system, Jalen Hurts. Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, do you want to give partial ownership to someone that's going to be the next Sam Darnold?
No, you're talking to the guy that's team drafted Jamarcus Russell right before the rookie wage scale came
imagine
out
giving
and paid him $1 billion.
Yeah, imagine giving ownership to Jamarcus Russell. That's what's going to happen.
Outside of that, one of the most exciting offenses to watch right now is Miami. And it seems no matter what, who gets injured, who gets hurt, that team, that offense, that scheme seems to work, right? Because Tyreek Hill went out for a little bit in the middle of last week's game after his backflip tore his hamstring. And I'm just kidding. He came back in the game. He was totally fine. And the Dolphins offense didn't skip a beat. Achane went out. He's out until week 11, it looks like. And Mostert did nothing but put up 3 touchdowns. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Oh, I was just saying, dang, I didn't realize Achane was out that long.
Well, they think he's going to be back sooner, but he's on the IR. Go ahead, Wes.
Do you want to revisit that trade that you had where you sent me Mostert?
Not at all. I was willing to do it because I was willing to wait for Aaron Jones, but now I'm just going to ride out with what I got.
That's rude.
We had the 2 undefeated teams lose this week, and you guys both said Wes, in Chelsea's defense, Wes said the 2 best teams lost. Chelsea said, well, the 2 undefeated teams lost.
Those games were also really boring.
They were really boring. They were defensive games, right? The key was to stop the offenses. And, of course, we've got our Stephen A. Smiths and our Colin Cowherds, our real AARP club that is right where everybody's gunning, right? Saying nonsense. And the fact, I get it. We don't really say nonsense. We give our fans mostly facts, some fun. The fact that you guys are still clinging on to this polarizing nonsense because it gives you something to argue about. Do you really think Colin Cowherd thinks the Jacksonville Jaguars are the 6th best team in the NFL? Because he doesn't. So shut up. Don't be an idiot. It's week 7. He needs to say something that makes you guys all go, "Oh my God, how could you think this? It's crazy." No one cares. It's week 7. It's week 7.
It's clickbaiting.
It is. And Wes had an issue with Stephen A. Smith. He called him an idiot. Wes, why was Stephen A. Smith an idiot?
Because he was saying that Tua just dinks the ball 2 yards, and then Tyreek takes it the rest of the way, as there was literally a highlight of Tua bombing it like 50 yards.
Over his shoulder while he was talking?
Yeah.
It's crazy because...
If you're at least going to like try and get clickbait, at least like don't look like a dumbass.
Or know what's playing in the background behind you. Or producers, help Stephen A. out a a little bit with a clip that supports what he's about to say.
Yeah,
they don't like it.
Maybe they're trolling him.
So they did that on purpose, I guarantee you. They're like, hey.
They don't have to take any inventory of anything that they say anymore because sports fans seem to drink or worship at whatever altar they're standing at. And they say stuff that's incorrect or wrong or show their ass about not knowing something consistently.
It's not that. It's just they forget about it the next day.
I mean, when you're following like 50 different sports people, that's on the low side. Like, let's be honest. You're consuming every tweet, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of tweets or posts or wherever you're following them, and then you go on, you watch their show or you listen to them on the radio or like whatever you're doing. It's really easy to lose like who had what take on what day. So you can get away with like and just dazzled by absolute BS day in and day out. But some of the takes were right. So you were like, oh, okay, well, I'll keep listening. I'll keep interacting.
That's why I love freezing cold takes.
Yeah,
that is why
because they've
you
got
can go back.
They've got the receipts. I love it. It's such shade.
Now
whoever runs that account.
I've only got about 3 more minutes left in show this week. So I want to get to the Phillies Rangers. Is that series inevitable now with the Houston Astros going down 2-0? Phillies just putting on a show tonight, 10-0, without Bryce Harper being on fire like he was in the last game in game 1, right? They didn't even need Bryce Harper because they put up 10 runs without him scoring a run. Wes, what do you think? You think it's inevitable?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Phillies, Rangers, and I'm so glad because I freaking hate the Astros. I'm so glad they're getting smacked around, and I hope they get swept.
Okay, Chelsea, what about you? Is this an inevitable series now with Astros and the Rangers being down 0-2?
I absolutely
the Astros
think so.
And the Diamondbacks. Sorry, Astros and Rangers are playing each other. Yeah, Astros and the Diamondbacks are both down 0-2.
Yeah,
do you see either team coming back?
No, I don't. And some of it's personal. I am my one-man Houston hate brigade. I hate all of Houston sports. I think they are absolute garbage. They should sell all their teams, including the Astros.
Burn the city.
Raise the city. Just get out of here.
All right.
Sorry.
So
Sorry to our fans.
No shot for the Houston Trash Can Bangers to make it back from this 0-2 deficit. And I've got to also bring this up really quick. Does anyone feel more indifferent about their job than Nikola Jokic?
Hold on. Is it indifference, or is it like just that kind of like Eastern European, like, I go to work, I do my job, I come home?
What was funny is in his press conference after winning the championship, he felt like he had to be at work too long. And when asked if he was excited, he goes, no. And then he goes, does anybody like their job? And I'm just like, bro, no one else here plays in the NBA.
For real. Yeah, I don't know. Having spent kind of a bit of time in Eastern Europe, there is just a very your emotions don't go too high. They don't go too low either. You're just like, such is life. I think it's
been drinking vodka.
Well, yeah, but he's probably not doing too much of that, right after practice. So I don't know, but I hope he's doing good. I hope he's.
I love that you said that, Chelsea. Meanwhile, Marshawn Lynch is telling Peyton Manning he'd take a shot before every game, and Peyton Manning responds with, of Toradol? And he goes, no, of Hennessy.
Well, that's also
Lynch Marshawn Lynch.
That also makes a lot of sense. So
that does make a lot of sense. Know your audience, I guess. Know who you're talking to there. it's going to be a great week again because we have Eagles-Dolphins in the NFL. And I'd love to know, do you have a favorite in that game? Who do you think could win? Are you hoping for a defensive game, or are you thinking that this could be an offensive explosion?
I want an offensive explosion. I'm tired of watching defensive games in the NFL. It makes me want to fall asleep.
Yeah, there's just not been, like, I mean, other than the 70-20 game, obviously, there just has not been a lot. And when you have, like, a lot of offense, you want to see it both ways. You don't, like, a blowout's boring. So I'm hoping for, a high-scoring game that's just fun to watch, that has just a little bit more back and forth, that gives me some decent fantasy points.
Yeah, something in the 30s would be nice. And I think Eagles are going to come back. I think they're going to be mad.
Okay, and last but not least, tomorrow night, do the Las Vegas Aces close it out? Or do we see this game go to 5? This series go to 5?
I think we're going to 5. Chelsea Gray is out tomorrow. I just got the alert. I'm not sure how long it says she would be out. Like, if she's out,
it just has her list missing this game right now.
Yeah. So I think that it's going to go to game 5. I think that the Liberty are going to hold it close enough. But, I mean, I also just want the Liberty to win.
We'll see. They are favored by 6. What's that, Wes?
I think the Aces close it out.
Aces close it out. I think Kelsey Plum has a huge game. I do. I think Kelsey Plum's going to have a huge game with Chelsea Gray out. And I think the Aces close it out as well. Because the last thing I think the Aces want is this to get to game 5. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in each and every week. We appreciate you all. As always, you can catch us at the TheSadFan Podcast Network on YouTube. You can find us at the TheSadFan Cast, and you can see me on the TheSadFan 12. This has been an excellent experiment with these two being allowed in the same room, and you get a little taste
shouldn't be allowed
of what it's like if we were all in the same studio. Apparently, it's not just the internet and the virtual platform that has us talking over each other. It is, in fact, how Wes wants to live his life with his big sister. is constantly talking over her.
Well, that's what she gets for talking over me for the first 20 plus years.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week.